Welcome friends, I'm Rosa Lee and today we're going to be making delicious homemade egg rolls. I'm going to show you how to make them deep fried and air fried. We want to start by cutting and dicing 1 cup of onions. Take about 3 carrots, cut the ends off, then shred away. You'll need 2 cups of shredded carrots. If you have a KitchenAid attachment, it'll go so much faster. Next, you'll need to shred 6 cups of cabbage. Now, I usually like using a serrated knife because you can get really thin strips that way. If you have a hard time cutting it into thin pieces, once it's on your cutting board, just go over it again. You'll also need 3 cups of bean sprouts, and I usually like to kind of go back and chop them up just a little bit. You'll also need 1.5 pounds of ground pork. This one happens to be 2.9, but that's okay. My recipe will work with either one. Place your pork in a bowl, and then we're going to go in with a little bit of salt and pepper. You don't need very much salt because we're going to be adding soy sauce later. It's about half a teaspoon of each. Add 2 eggs. Now, I've noticed that not everybody uses eggs, which I find a little strange because they are egg rolls. I like to add eggs in mine. They also help with binding. With clean hands, I'm going to mix all this together. Now, if you prefer, you could use gloves too. I'm all mixed. Time to wash up. To a pan, add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. You don't need much. If you need more later, you can always add more later. Let's add our pork. We want to slightly brown our pork. I usually like to take a spatula and just kind of break everything up as it browns. Just a reminder that you can see a lot more of my videos than you see on my front page by going up top and clicking on videos and playlists. I'm going to go drain my fat real quick. It's important that you do to prevent the liquid when you're rolling your egg rolls. I left my pork to drain in a colander while we move on to our next steps. To the same pan, add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Our diced onions, again this is 1 cup. Saute for about a minute. Now we're going to come in with our bean sprouts, your carrots, our cabbage, which I usually like adding last of our veggies. Make sure you use a large pan because as you can see, we've got a lot going in here. You'll notice the cabbage will start to wilt, which is what we want. All right, going in to grab my pork. Oh, that didn't sound right. Anyway, how many of you doubters out there think this is not all going to fit in here? Now, I might just make a little bit of a mess, but I promise you, I'll get it all in here. Now, I gotta remind you, this is also a little bit over 2 pounds. You really only need 1.5 pounds. Of course, that depends on how many egg rolls you're looking to make. All right, let me lower my temp here to about a number 2. Let's season with a little bit of salt. You don't need much. You can always add more later. Add 2 teaspoons of garlic, 1 teaspoon of minced ginger, 2 teaspoons of sesame oil, 3 tablespoons of oyster sauce. Whoops, that's more like 3 heaping tablespoons. 3 tablespoons of low sodium soy sauce. Make sure that your soy sauce is low sodium. If you end up using dark, that's pretty strong and you can end up with a salty mess. Here I've got some Sriracha sauce, which is totally optional. You don't have to use it, but today I'm going to be adding 1 teaspoon. You could use anywhere from half to a teaspoon of Sriracha sauce. I just like the extra little flavor. Here's an ingredient you might be surprised by, but it works great. I like to add 1 packet of powdered chicken bouillon. Now, if you don't have the powdered packets and you just have the cubes, you can just take 1 cube crumbled or crush it and just add it in there. Mix and cook for about 2 to 3 minutes. Give it a quick taste. If it needs more salt, now's the time to add it because after it's in the wrapper, you won't be able to do anything about it. Oh, this is good. This is perfect. I don't need any more salt. This is great. Turn it off, remove from heat because we're ready to move on. In a small bowl, we're going to be making some egg wash. You'll only need 1 egg, and this is to seal your egg roll wrappers. Give it a whisk and set aside. You can use egg roll or spring roll wrappers. Today I'm going to be doing the spring roll because that's what I could find locally. Make sure that you get the ones in your frozen section. Those are the best. You can find these at your grocery or at any Asian market. Now there is a difference between egg rolls and spring roll wrappers. The egg roll wrappers are a little bit thicker and when you fry them, they bubble up. You know, they're They look a little bit thicker. The spring rolls are a little bit thinner and smooth. Before using, make sure they're thawed. Make sure that you keep a wet or damp paper towel. You want to place it on top of your wrappers each time that you separate your wrappers. Otherwise, they'll be hard to separate. A brush will work great for your egg wash. Otherwise, you'll have to use your fingers. I also like using a 1/4 cup measuring cup to scoop out my filling for the egg rolls. You want to slowly peel off your first wrapper or shell, whatever you prefer to call it. I think I'm going to wrap from this side so you can see better. Start with a triangle facing you, and then we want to add about 1/4 cup of our mix. Place it towards the bottom and then spread it out to kind of create a little bit of a log. Take the corner, roll, then tuck it in, roll again, and then bring each side in. Then keep rolling until you get close to the end. Now grab your egg wash and brush the end to seal. If you have long nails, make sure you don't accidentally pierce them. It's important that it's completely sealed. Sometimes it can take a little practice, so if you get ends like this, let me show you what else you can do. Instead of rolling more towards the end, leave a little space and just brush some of your egg wash on the sides and then, of course, on top. Then you're going to bring in your sides. This serves just like glue, and it's like sealing an envelope. And then just keep rolling, and you've got a perfect side. Let's quickly do one more. Also, keep tucking as you roll to make sure everything is nice and tight. Just be careful not to pierce it. There's 25 wrappers to my packet, and they are all wrapped. Let's move on to the good stuff. First, I'm going to show you how to deep fry them. Turn your heat on to high. I'm using a Dutch oven, but you can use any pot you have. I'm also using a thermometer, and this one is from Amazon. I'll post a link below. We're going to pour a whole bottle of Crisco vegetable oil. This is a 48-ounce bottle. We're going to let this heat up until it gets to 330 or 340 degrees Fahrenheit. While this heats up, let me turn you around. I like to use a sheet pan with a rack, so once I pull them out of the grease can just drip onto the mat. Now, if you don't have one of these sheet pans with a rack, you could also just use the plate and a paper towel. My temperature is now at 340, and it took me about 7 minutes to get it to that temp. Now we're ready to start putting in our egg rolls. Now just be real careful because you are dealing with super hot grease. Add as many as you can fit, but don't overcrowd them. You want to cook them until they turn a nice golden brown. I usually like to kind of turn them around, but for some reason they always turn back the other way. So I kind of just push them down every once in a while to submerge them completely. They take about 6 to 7 minutes to cook and get a nice golden brown, just like this. They do continue to cook for just a little bit after you take them out, so don't get them too dark. I'm going to place them all on my rack and put in another batch. When you pull them out, make sure that you don't bite right into them because they are piping hot and you don't want to burn yourself. As they rest, I like to take a paper towel and pat them to remove any excess grease. As promised, I'm going to also show you how to make them in the air fryer. I have been preheating my air fryer at 340 degrees for 7 minutes, so it's nice and hot. Now I'm just going to add them in here. I'm only going to do 3 for this batch because I want to try 2 different temperatures and I want to show you what they both look like. All right, so we're going to set this at 340 degrees. And to start on one side, I'm going to do 3 minutes. 3 minutes are up. I'm going to flip them and they're still looking a little pale. So I think this time we're going to go with 8 minutes at 340 degrees. It's been 8 minutes. Let's pull these out. I'll show them to you in just a minute. I want to put in my next batch. I've got 2 more egg rolls. I want to try these at 400 degrees this time. And we'll start with 5 minutes on one side. All right, guys, it's been 5 minutes. Let's see what they look like. And, ooh, these look a lot crispier on the edges. All right, so let's go ahead and just flip these over. And this time, cook them for 3 minutes on the other side. Time's up. Let's take a look at these. Yeah, these look done. Let's go ahead and take them out. You're going to see the difference in just a bit. I like to pat these down as well, remove some of the grease. Now, I did not spray these before putting them in the air fryer. And of course, your air fryer is going to be a little bit healthier, but I still like to kind of remove some of the grease from them. Let's go back to our deep fried egg rolls. But first, I want to show you this sauce that I like to serve them with. This is a sweet chili sauce that I highly recommend. It is so good with the egg rolls. You have to have it. I got this one at an Asian market, but you could get it at the grocery store as well. How about we break into one of these? They're still kind of hot, but I wanted to show you. Now we're going to be moving on to our air fried ones. Okay, so these are the air fried, and then these are the deep fried. Try them both and let me know which ones you like best. Love the deep fried, but I have to tell you, the air fried were actually pretty good. I thought they were going to taste a little different because they're not as golden as the other ones, but there was really not much of a difference. You can freeze leftovers in a Ziploc freezer bag and then reheat in your air fryer. If you enjoyed the video, please help me out by giving this a like and sharing with friends. If you haven't already subscribed, please be sure to do so below or hit my little picture on the side. Also, don't forget to hit the little bell to get notified of all of my new videos, and please be sure to check out these links on the side. Share with your friends. Thanks for watching and your support.